Hey guys, welcome back. BDCR here. We're back with our weekly Q&A&T. This is Season 4, Episode 25. Now, before we get into the questions, we're going to do a bit of housekeeping first. If you're wondering why no one's responding to your comments, something that you may not be aware of if you haven't been watching us from near the beginning is that we've set up comment filters that will pick up certain swears and slurs and put them in moderation, just because we figure it's created better discourse, and I think it has. I don't think a lot of the stuff that gets picked up has anything useful to say, and when it does, we go through it and we actually put it back in.
We release it, for moderation.
So unless there's something particularly important that someone else hasn't said, or the swear is more general, right? Something better. The slurs are always just, nobody ever saying a slur has anything that I want to hear said.
Exactly.
So we just generally don't release a lot of that content just because it's low quality stuff.
So maybe we'll give one example of that, of something that was caught in the filters.
And we'll not say the name this time.
Yeah.
Unlike usual. You guys are noobs and boobs with super shitty hacks too.
And I feel like it was the start of a really good poem, and it ended without getting that last oob in it, but I'm not sure what.
Well, it was the start of a rhyme, at least. It was like they were trying a little bit, maybe, even for a second. And if it rhymed all the way through, I would have almost been okay putting it through.
Right. And that was on our 7th of June weekly recap, and we released it because we wanted to discuss it. And what's interesting is the only previous comment from the same commenter from the last Laugh Tickets glitch, which was patched.
What? Pfft, stupid hack.
Okay, so here's the funny thing. This is one of our subscribers.
Yeah, so, I mean, their interaction with us is to call us dumb twice. Or, bad twice. And I don't know what convinced that person that this was content for them. If you're watching, I'm sure you know who you are. I don't know why you'd be watching this video, because apparently you don't enjoy our content. But I would say maybe find other YouTubers. We'll try not to be too hurt, actually. It's our recommendation that you do.
What's pretty spectacular, actually, when you think about it, is just how much volume there is, how much media there is that's uploaded to YouTube every single minute. And if this doesn't appeal to you, there's going to be literally hundreds of other videos that do.
Oh, there's going to be, even if this does appeal to you, there's going to be many better options. You just gotta find them. And this person obviously is not enjoying. They're not picking up what we're putting down, so maybe.
I've never heard that expression before. Okay.
Maybe just shop around a bit.
Yeah.
We won't be hurt if you unsubscribe. Yeah. In fact, I would prefer if you did for your sake, really. The views are the same to us either way.
So I guess the main point really is we've got filters on our comments, so just keep that in mind when you don't hear stuff.
Yeah, and also keep the unnecessary profanity to a minimum.
That's true.
There's not much necessary profanity.
Profanity. Where was that from?
That's from the Vine from Storage Wars, where there's a guy who's helping out that old dude.
Oh, right.
He's like, they're right there. And then he goes, what the is that? And he's like, watch your profanity.
That's a good one. All right.
It's a wonderful Vine.
All right.
Our next question comes from Farrukh Tulkunov. Oh, I did not pronounce that correctly. I'm sorry. They say, thanks very much. Enjoyed it a lot. And I have a question for you guys. Have you ever considered playing Marvel Contest of Champions, or is it like you not into Marvel, only DC? MCOC has very good, complex, interesting gameplay. Please talk about it in Q&A if possible. And then we've got another couple questions to pair with this one. Oleg Fopet says, BDCR Gaming, you should make videos about other games too. You guys are pretty good at explaining and showing stuff. Not that I don't like Injustice, but I think you can make cool videos about other games too. And Zolo says, you should branch out and play more mobile games, like WWE Mayhem, Injustice 2, Marvel Strike Force, Fortnite, etc. Injustice 1 gets too easy and boring after some time. I've personally started playing Injustice 2 3 months ago, and I honestly am playing that way, way more than Injustice 1, since the content Injustice 1 gets is limited and so easy to get when it does release. I know you mentioned this before in a video that you were suspended from Injustice 2, but you can always just use an alternate Google Play account to play it again. LOL. First off, I want to say thanks to everybody. These comments are always really nice, because when people are asking this, the implied thing that they're saying is they like the stuff that we make, not because of what we're playing, but because we're the ones making it.
Right.
So people asking us to branch out is
They want more of us.
Is a vote of confidence to us in our channel. And I really, really appreciate that. That's really cool. Even when people don't directly say thanks, like you guys here actually did, right? Or say that directly that you like our content, which you guys also did.
Right.
It's implied that our stuff is good enough that you'd want to watch it if we did something else.
Yeah.
Which is cool. So thank you.
So I do want to say though too. I mean, I said it before, and maybe I'm gonna put a slightly different spin on it. So this is a hobby, and unfortunately, I mean, we're making ad revenue, right? So it's not just like a total waste of time. We're getting a few bucks for it, but unfortunately, what we do doesn't scale up. So if we spent more time, we wouldn't be able to make enough money to make it worth dropping other things that we spend our time on, like my day job.
Yeah.
And maybe at the risk of revealing a little bit too much, I mean, I would need to make 2 orders of magnitude more than what we're making now to replace my day job. Never mind you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it would be irregular income, right? So it wouldn't be steady income, and it'd be subject entirely to the whims of YouTube. And you saw what happened with Adpocalypse, where a lot of people had their ad revenue crater. We did too.
So we'd also have to have alternate streams of income, like Patreon. We need to push harder, even.
Yep.
We probably want to or need to have merch, or just different ways that we could make the money so that when YouTube is not doing its job of getting the ad revenue to people, for one reason or another, reports, there's been a bunch of stuff that we'd still be getting enough money to make it worthwhile.
Yeah. And it's a lot easier. I mean, I'm not going to try to hide that. It's easier when we're already playing this game, since we've already developed the expertise that we need, instead of having to start devoting a huge amount of time to learn a new game even before we can start filming anything.
And I think it's worthwhile to say, it's not like we don't do other stuff, and it's not like there's not other stuff that we put a long time into. Right? I've been playing a lot of Tap Titans 2 recently. I think it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I'm nowhere near good enough to make videos. The gameplay is inherently interesting. I don't know enough to make instructional videos. I just don't have kind of any part of that required body of knowledge to make the content. So we're putting time into playing it. Doesn't mean we can make videos on it. You play a lot of Renegade Midnight Star.
Ooh, all right. So, and I will, as a slightly different kind of example, Renegade Midnight Star, I am really good at it.
Yeah, you probably could make instructional videos.
I could, and I am, when I play, I'm basically winning every single daily challenge and every single weekly challenge. Now, the part about that is that nobody's playing it.
Yes.
So there's maybe like a handful of people that are showing up each day, so it's not really that big an achievement to do that.
Yeah,
but
if we're one of those million or multi-million subscriber YouTubers, we could just make videos about whatever and then have people pick it up, right? Have people watch it because we're making it, but we don't have that cachet with enough people. We've got really cool people like you who'd watch us with whatever we do.
Right.
Not everybody. We've tried to branch out little bits here and there. Mostly me doing PC games.
Yeah, and they were actually really interesting. Those are the kind of things that I'd be willing to watch other people play.
Yeah.
But there wasn't the audience. I mean, we're still really, I haven't looked recently, but I think we're just still like maybe 100 or 200 views on those.
Yeah. So we would get like 10 to 20% as many views, which is not enough. That's the problem is that we do something new, and some people watch the first one, and then the more that we would do, we get even just less per video as it went on. So it's the unfortunate reality is there's not a lot of content that we could make that would be as informative as this Injustice content, and
combined with the appeal.
And there's almost nothing that we can make that as many people would want to watch. We'd have to build up an audience again, and it's just we don't have the time.
Yeah.
And as far as the work that would put in, I think at some point it would almost stop feeling like a hobby if we were having to look at ways to branch out and do whatever.
And I just want, before we finish with this question, I want to say one more thing about Injustice 2, and it's not just a matter of being suspended, right? So, because whether you spend money or not on a game, you're spending time. There's an implied contract for those resource games where you're just accumulating stuff. I don't know what the term for that is.
Grinds,
yeah,
Grind
farming
fests.
games. You're putting in the time and you're going to get more stuff. That's the understanding. If the game doesn't do anything to protect your resources and it prevents you from protecting yourself, right? So in Injustice, I can use a third-party app, Helium, Titanium. I can make sure even if the server progress, the server save fails, I've still got my progress, right? If I don't have that, if I'm subject to the whims of their server and their developer and whatever the sort of bots they have to catch potential cheating, my motivation to play it becomes zero. So I have no interest in playing it again. Starting all over for something where I could just lose everything for nothing? Yeah, no thanks.
Yeah, so I guess long story short, and this is the kind of thing where every once in a while we might upload videos. I remember a while ago I did a Dark Souls little thing.
Oh yeah.
And that was mostly because it was fun, because I enjoyed doing it. And we're still going to do stuff like that. We're never going to stop ourselves from uploading something because we want to, but we're worried that not everybody's going to like it. And that's because it's a hobby, but also because it's a hobby, we're probably never going to do anything big or long-term with something else unless we find something by chance that happens to be really enjoyable for us to make.
Right.
Yeah. So I think that's
well
everything.
Put. Yep.
There we go. Our next question comes from Phoenix Lord 66, and they say, well, this is more of a comment, but I say the Most Wanted pack is a little better, but Teen Titans Cyborg and Regime Superman really ain't worth the get. Heck, those three guys, including Batman Prime, are the most common, and with the exception of Shazam Prime, Arkham Knight Batgirl, and Arkham Knight Harley, these guys can be gotten cheaper in other packs. But for the sake of the three exclusives that I mentioned before, it's only situational to buy it. Since they haven't re-released Arkham Knight Batgirl's Challenge in a long time, and this pack is a convenient way due to lesser selections and ready availability to get them. So not that bad.
Yeah, yes, I can't really disagree entirely with everything that you're saying, but there's different ways of looking at it, right? Is it marginally better? Maybe. I mean, I'd say it is if you're planning on an Arkham team, right? Mm-hmm. So the problem is they removed Raven, who's good on any team. I think she is one of those all-time classic most wanted.
Yeah.
They removed Apocalypse Darkseid, who got worse after they nerfed his passive, but he's still pretty good. His stats are decent. His attacks are reasonably quick. Containment Doomsday is gone. And maybe, some people don't like him because his stats are low. But in the new Tantu Totem meta, he's gotten better because of his ability to eat damage, which means you keep your opponent from getting power again.
Yeah.
And because his damage is compartmentalized, he can actually eat a lot more than some of the guys with way higher health.
Yeah, he can take a guaranteed number of hits before going down, and each of those hits is guaranteed to not give somebody power back with Tantu Totem.
Yeah, and I love using him when Killing Joke Joker's around, because he can eat a bunch of supers.
Yeah.
So that's what they've taken away. What they've added is Arkham Knight Batgirl, whose passive is great if you're playing with Arkham teammates, and not really that useful if you're not. Arkham Knight Harley Quinn, whose passive to punish tag-ins is pretty good. Jessica Cruz, she's great for her combo ender. Multiple hits, she does decent damage, but as long as you recognize that the combo ender only triggers half the time with tap combos, right? Mm-hmm. So it's not something that's that certain. But she's also available in challenge packs.
Or she was, for sure.
Well, she was, and her next job is going to be to check the challenge packs in 2.21. Now, the problem is, they've also diluted the value of the pack by, they had 10 possible cards before. They've added another slot, so there's now 11 possible cards in Most Wanted. Mm-hmm. And you know what they put there? Teen Titans Cyborg. So they stuck in somebody who's really low value that you definitely don't want. So it means that you're more likely to get something that you don't want in the pack.
For sure.
So here's the other level of comparison. When you compare this Most Wanted pack to previous, the game has progressed since that time. I mean, there are way more characters who are desirable, right?
Yeah. So if you look at out of the gold characters who you want the most, the kind of average stats and on average how good they are has crept up a little bit.
Right. I mean, I would be happy with any of the flashpoints. If we're talking just guys that are not MP, that would be Batman. I would love in the Most Wanted Injustice 2 Superman or Injustice 2 Aquaman, Red Sun Green Lantern, Dawn of Justice Batman, who we're looking at right now.
Yeah.
Rebirth Wally West, Arkham Knight Batman, and that's not including any other potential multiplayer exclusives, right? Because there's a few more there. And I mean, I get that they don't want to lose the appeal of the other packs, so that's why they're keeping them out of the Most Wanted pack. So that when, say the Red Sun pack comes into rotation, or let's say the Arkham pack comes into rotation, right?
Yeah.
But if you're going to be spending $600,000, in my mind, you're better off waiting for when the real Arkham, not the Arkham Asylum pack, but the Arkham pack that has all the different Arkham characters, when that comes back for only $150,000 more. You're getting very few of the weak cards, and you're less likely to get frustrated when you buy a pack. So yeah, no, I totally respect your read on it, Phoenix Lord 66, but maybe we'll just agree to disagree.
I think what I would like better is if they increased the price but made everybody actually good.
Yes.
I'd be fine with them increasing the price a little bit. I get it. They might, like, you have to.
Yes.
You can't just give better stuff for no extra cost. Or, I mean, you could if you wanted to. It's not like there's actually any price to them.
Or any rules.
Or any rules. But I'd be better with them increasing the price than decreasing the value of the characters.
Right.
Our next question comes from Tim Baer, and this is a quick one, but we wanted to talk about it.
Yes.
Opinions on the main man, Lobo. And we can't be 100% sure. I hope and suspect that you're calling him the main man because of her profile picture.
Well, he was actually the main man. They referred to him as that in the comic books, too.
But hopefully also a reference to us.
So that's our icon. I mean, that story we've told a few times, so we'll skip past it. But I love him as a comic character, right? In the stories, he gives off a real Deadpool vibe, right? So he's a lot more violent and a little bit less mouthy. But he's like, to me, he's DC's...
Like a sense of like irreverence.
Very much so. And it was my first exposure to Simon, I don't know how to pronounce his name. Is it Bisley or Biley art? And he used to do a lot of...
number of people's names that I almost definitely mispronounce every episode, I think you're good either way.
Okay.
I think we found our viewers to be forgiving.
So he used to do a lot of cover art, and Lobo was the first time I saw him do the interiors. And you know, it obviously left an impression on me, which is why we've chosen him as our avatar, right, on YouTube. But his character in Injustice is pretty weak, right? The regular one, the Prime, the lack of being able to not be power drained. It's not a great passive, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Static does that way better. Not only does he not get power drained, but he actually gains power when he blocks a special.
Yeah.
Bounty Hunter, though, I think is worth revisiting because his passive used to be hard to trigger because you would get more damage each time you did the special 2 successfully.
Yeah.
And now that we've got Tantu Totem,
it's easier.
I think we could actually take advantage of that. So I think I would like to do that team. But man, we've got so much footage of different teams that we still haven't had a chance to make videos out of. But yeah, Bounty Hunter Lobo looks really interesting.
So there we go. Our next question comes from Divine Wonderland, and I can definitely pronounce that name correctly. They say, what gear should I put on my 600 Wonder Woman? I want her as a specialist, but I don't have gear set cards.
All right, so this is a good question too, and I think you're probably a relatively new player because well, maybe not. I mean, it's been November since we've been able on Android that we've been able to get any of the good legendary gear sets.
Yeah.
So we'll talk maybe about a little bit of strategy, but in general, there's 3 main abilities that you want in a character that's going to be a specialist. You want power gen. You want to be able to do give a boost the damage on their specials or some special effect, maybe like a damage over time, something that improves their special.
Yeah, for whichever one is your special of choice for them.
And special crit chance to increase, again, another way of increasing damage, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes maybe you get an ability with it, maybe splash damage and stuff, but the best are the gears that do more than one. So, for example, Ibistic, which is legendary, but not one of the gear sets that are in Survivor, that both will boost damage and increase power generation. So that's like a great specialist gear. Tantu Totem. Not only does it increase crit chance on special, but it also gives you a bar of power potentially on tag.
And that's not to mention all the energy you get back.
Right. So that's just a general strategy, and the problem with these questions sometimes is that we don't know what gears you have. But if you take that general approach, where if you're going to be doing specials, you need somebody with power. You need to give power generation. You want to do more damage when you do it, and you want special effects when that happens. Okay, it's relatively straightforward.
So there we go. Our next question comes from BestGlaive in the world. And that's a name that is familiar to me just because it's long enough and it's just a sentence in English.
Yes, and we looked it up last time what a glaive was.
Yeah, it's just a big ol'... It's a sword. I thought it was some sort of throwing sword, but it turns out it's just a normal one. We've talked long enough about
you know what? We're
glaives,
running out of time, but you know what? We'll do another run.
Oh,
I think we're going to do another run just because.
Yeah. And they say 3.0, maybe a new game mode. Just something new to shake things up. It's getting kind of boring now.
I'll tell you what, I'm finding it's just the opposite. Tantu Totem and Master's Death Cart have changed everything for me. now I'm considering teams that were useless before.
Yeah, it's made almost anybody viable.
Exactly. And I can see from update 2.21 that there's a couple new gears, and one of which looks to be really interesting. And to me, that's Quake Engine. It looks like the ideal piece for damage over time guys.
Yeah, which is almost kind of like a subclass, if you think about it, for the roles.
Right.
It's like damage over time is either a subclass of special specialist or basic damage dealer.
Right. So to me, it fits in with the whole thing that they've been doing, where there's the super or overpowered super is the ideal basic damage dealer gear. Astro Harness is the ideal tank gear, and like we said earlier, Tantu Totem, Master's Death Card, they are the ideal specialists. Now we're going to be getting the ideal damage over time gear. Yeah,
which is, I think, who if anybody are the good people for dealing damage over time without specials, with basic damage?
Oh, I hadn't even thought of that. I mean, it used to be Apocalypse Darkside.
Yeah.
But I was actually thinking I thought you were going to go in a different direction. Like, who's the best person for damage over time? In my mind, it's Arkham Knight Catwoman.
Yeah, because it doesn't rinse, right?
Right. And that ability is unique, and it changes the flavor of it, because then most of the things that you do to try to avoid damage over time, the basic one is tagging out. It doesn't work.
Yeah. So there we go. Our next question comes from Dawg Legend, and they say, how do you get all of your credits?
Okay. So, to me, this is an interesting example of people asking the wrong question, and that's probably not a popular thing to say.
Because this question has a very short answer, but it's not useful because you said it a bunch.
So
before.
this is the takeoff point for discussing the bigger thing. This is why the T in the Q&A&T.
Yeah.
So it's probably a popular thing. It's almost like one of those saying, what do you call that? Those cliches where people say there's no such thing as a wrong question. And so maybe if it's not the wrong question, asking the not right question.
It's not the question that gives them the answer that they want.
Right. Because this question came up about an hour before we posted the most recent glitch video for Android for getting the multiplayer online rewards in an unlimited fashion. And we never get this question when there's an active glitch. The real question shouldn't be how do you get all of your credits, but the implied question, which I think they want an answer to, is there currently a way I can get that many credits?
Yeah, how do I get to where you are?
Right. Because when there isn't a glitch, the answer is we used glitches. And nobody cares.
Yeah, because then it's like, oh crap, so useless to me then.
Right. And when there is a glitch, nobody cares how we got them, and nobody's asking, because the person who would otherwise ask doesn't care that we got them from old glitches because they're using the current glitch, which, believe it or not, isn't how we accumulated our current wealth. I mean, we've been playing for years.
That's the answer. We've been playing for a long time, and anytime there's been something to get credits, we do that thing, whether it's a glitch or whether it's just playing a lot.
Which is, to me, is how this flows into the idea of asking the right questions. And it plays into how I figured out this current glitch, right? So once I knew that iOS could get multiple multiplayer season rewards, I knew it was possible to do the same on Android because of the way the game is set up, where you get the reward and it doesn't save, but it saves at the moment where you register with the server that you got them, right? So I knew those were separate steps. And once I had broken down my understanding of what was happening, even if it was on iOS, my question was, okay, how do I make it save without hitting close?
Yeah, so it wasn't what are the steps that iOS is using to exploit this glitch. It's why do those steps work to exploit the glitch? Because why the steps work showed us that there was another way to do the same thing.
Right. So if we kept on asking ourselves the wrong question, we'd be no better off, and we wouldn't have that glitch for Android.
So there we go. Something to think about, maybe.
Yes.
Our next question comes from ATG Gaming, and they say, just saying, guys, I've gotten the past gold tier rewards for multiplayer seasons, and I'm still on 2.19. BDCKR, I understand that you guys don't do glitches that require 2 devices because you've gotten banned in the past, but I haven't gotten banned since the 2.20 update came out. Do you guys have Snapchat, Instagram, or a better way of me sending you a video? I just got the alien artifact, so that goes to show I'm not banned.
Okay, so maybe I need to at least mention this first, is that there's the idea of auto banning and manual banning, which we covered in our video, will blank get me banned?
Yeah.
And so, you know, auto ban is stuff that will get everybody banned no matter what. And then there's sort of discretionary stuff where you can get yourself banned not necessarily by a bot that checks your account, but just because something else happens, right?
Yeah.
And so it's great that you haven't gotten banned, but seeing a video of it wouldn't actually do anything to reassure me.
Yeah.
And actually, this ties into the last question well, too, because now that we've got a video with the unlimited multiplayer season rewards, I can give a more convincing answer, right?
Yeah.
In all the years that we've played this, it has never been necessary for us to use 2 devices. Never. There have been at least 4 glitches that if they'd been taken to isolation and they were the only glitches that we'd ever found, they could all be considered game breaking. Right? So where we had the chance to easily stock up enough credits and extra character cards that we would never need to do another glitch.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think that the only people who should be needing glitches are those who have been playing after the last one was patched. And the problem really, I think, comes down to planning, where when there's no glitch, people think, oh my god, it's been forever, there's no glitch, are we ever going to get another one? And then the time when there is a glitch, and then people think, oh, I've got this easy access to wealth, I never have to worry, and then they don't take accumulating the power credits seriously.
Yeah, if anything, where there's a glitch, you need to be playing more, not less. Just to be taking advantage of it.
Yes, that's a good way of putting it. And I think that's the problem, is the rationale of people is that they go the other way. They think, oh, now I got a glitch, now I don't have to play as much.
I can get the same resources and play 10% as much. But really what you should be doing is playing twice as much, or however much you can, however much you want to, obviously. Don't play more than it's fun. But if you're getting resources 10 times, 20 times as fast, and you play twice as much, every day that you spend working on the glitch, you're going to get 40 times as much resources as you could otherwise, or however the numbers work out. Yeah. And what you're doing is you're banking up basically 40 days of not having to grind in the future.
Right, and if you split up the idea of the game as partly a grind fest and partly a sandbox kind of game where you're just playing out different combinations.
Well, partly a fighting game and partly a resource accumulation game.
Yeah, but to me, it's a fighting game, but not like, say, Street Fighter, where there's a limited number of choices and you just get good at those certain things. You've got so many possibilities, and you're limited in being able to play with the possibilities by what you've gotten so far, what you can afford.
Yeah.
And I think if you treat it, and if you recognize that this is the kind of game that it is, and you treat it like that, where you plan to, when you grind, you get the most out of the grinding time. And then when you don't have the opportunity to grind so efficiently, then you back off, and then you get to play with the guys.
Yeah.
Then you get to mess around and say, okay, so what combination really works?
Yeah.
And you're spending the resources that you were able to accumulate so easily without getting super frustrated because the glitch made it faster.
Because on a really basic level, this game is a fighting game that has traded a lot of its complexity of the actual fighting mechanics for an added complexity in the planning mechanics, and as an almost necessity has added kind of more meaningful stats to characters, where stats matter a lot more than they do in any fighting game, where balance isn't actually the goal inherently.
I think they've done an amazing job of making that balanced. Like, where the stuff that you can add and use to modify and customize your characters, I'm talking gear augmentations, is really kind of spectacular at this point now, because there's so many guys that are useful and effective.
Yeah. So the thing about it is, I think the planning and the accumulation, the earning of better stats and all that stuff in a lot of ways is fun, but I think the planning and the playing is actually, once you've maybe played the first 20 hours, the main part. After that, I think the grind is to get you new stuff, and the grind by itself isn't actually inherently kind of the fun of it.
You say 20 hours, and I want to laugh and cry a little bit, because I know I've put in way more than 20 hours into this game.
But what I'm saying is, for the first little while, getting new stuff, the grinding to get new stuff is actually worthwhile in itself. It's fun by itself, right? And there's a certain threshold. 20 hours is a number that I made up, obviously. But there's a certain threshold where you kind of just want the new stuff, and grinding is a thing that you have to do to get to it.
Right.
So I think that's why glitches still don't ruin the game at all for me, and I think that's a testament to how good this game is.
I agree. All right, so that was actually not our last question, but we've run out of time. I think we've extended it as much as we can.
Yeah.
But at this point, I want to really thank our patrons on Patreon who continue to support us. Alberto Jr. Camarillo, supporting us at the top tier last word.
Just a note about him. When he sent us that video clip in, he's got a wonderfully smooth voice. I think he could, right?
He does.
He's got a wonderful speaking voice. You should send us in another clip so that we can put it in at the end.
Yes, absolutely.
Give us an outro.
iProfit, who supports us at the Your Message Here tier.
While we're saying it, send us some messages. You have earned it. You have bought and paid for it. We are your dancing monkeys. As long as we approve the message, we're here to say whatever you want us to say.
And I love that actually iProfit is still commenting a lot of the videos and participating, and we appreciate that too. Mm-hmm. And Lane and Daniel Simonson, who support us on the credited level.
Mm-hmm. So there we go. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you next time.
Komoda.